So if you're feeling restless, please know there is nothing wrong with you. You're not ungrateful, you're not broken, you're not having a moment. You're simply shedding the old and getting ready for the new, whatever that looks like for you. Your restlessness is an invitation, not to abandon what you've built, but to use it differently. Welcome to The Change Effect, the podcast that helps you turn life transitions into powerful new beginnings. One story, one shift, one breakthrough at a time. I'm your host, Noelle Van, an author, leadership coach, and change strategist who spent years in corporate America helping innovators and leaders break through barriers to create success on their own terms. I now work with women to step into change to create a life they love. Whether you're putting yourself at the center of your own story, redefining success, or making a power pivot in your life, career, or business, you're in the right place. Each week, we dive into conversations with trailblazers, changemakers, and everyday women experiencing the ripple effects that come from overcoming the fear and doing it anyway, providing actionable steps, practical strategies, and a whole lot of fun along the way. So if you're ready to step up and become unstoppable, buckle up and let's get started. Today's episode is for every high-achieving woman who has ever felt that quiet tug in her chest. The whisper that says, you've done everything you were supposed to do. You've climbed, you've delivered, you've held it together, and yet something still feels unsettled. If that's you, you're not alone. And you, my friend, are what I call a restless leader. Now, before we go any further, let me say this clearly. Leadership is not about a job title. It's actually a way of moving through the world. So you are a leader if you make decisions others rely on, carry responsibility for people, systems, or outcomes, hold emotional space for others, solve problems no one else sees, or manage not just tasks, but energy, tone, and timing. Now that might look like leading a team, but it also may look like leading a household. It may look like caregiving, parenting, rebuilding after loss, or navigating a major life transition. Leadership shows up everywhere women carry weight. And restlessness can arise anywhere leadership exists, not just in boardrooms, but in kitchens, hospital waiting rooms, carpools, marriages, aging parent decisions, and quiet moments alone when you finally ask yourself, is this still working for me? Restlessness isn't a sign that something's wrong. It's a sign that something within you is ready to evolve. So who is a restless leader? Contrary to popular belief, a restless leader isn't reckless or impulsive. She's responsible, she's thoughtful, she's capable. She's even spent years, sometimes decades, building a life that looks successful from the outside. But internally, she feels a growing misalignment, a sense that she's operating below her capacity, a quiet grief for parts of herself she's outgrown. Maybe it's a longing for autonomy, honesty, and meaning, or just simply exhaustion from always being the one who holds it all together. And here's the truth we rarely say out loud. The more accomplished a woman is, the harder it is to change. Because she's not just stepping away from a role or routine, she's untangling from an identity. So with this said, what actually drives women to make a shift? Now, major transitions don't usually come from one dramatic moment. We all know this. They build slowly through internal signals we often ignore. But here are 4 most common drivers that I see. The first is value misalignment. So women tolerate a lot until the gap becomes undeniable. When how you spend your time no longer matches what you value, tension tends to grow. You may still be functioning well, but it costs more than it used to. Now, the next is the cost of conformity. Over time, women learn how to shapeshift to be accepted. Be capable, but not threatening. Be helpful, but not inconvenient. And be strong, but don't need too much. Eventually, the performance becomes exhausting, and the pull toward greater authenticity can't be ignored. Now, the next is the burnout of being the strong one. I know many of you probably feel this many times in your life. So many women are the stabilizers at work, at home, in families, and you're there to anticipate needs. You absorb the stress. You keep things moving. Until one day you realize, I'm carrying everyone, but no one is carrying me. Finally, there is the pull toward purpose. This isn't about throwing away success. It's about deploying it in a way that feels honest, spacious, and aligned. So when these forces converge, a woman doesn't suddenly quit her life. She awakens to it. So knowing all of this, why does leaving or shifting feel so hard? Well, even when restlessness is clear, change can feel terrifying. And that's because there's a psychological grip at play. First of all, there is identity enmeshment. So for many women, achievement becomes how they're known, valued, and introduced. Letting go feels less like change and more like erasing part of themselves. So that can be a very, very difficult thing to do. Next is fear of wasted potential, especially in the working world. Thoughts like, what if none of this translates? Or what if I never have this level of influence again? Can tend to show up. And here's the truth about this one. Experience is never wasted. It's always the foundation for your next step. Then there's the myth of stability. We're taught that certain paths equal safety. But real stability comes from adaptability and self-trust, not from clinging to structures that no longer fit. And then finally, there is the approval trap. And I saved this one for last because this one runs deep. Many women have been rewarded for being reliable, agreeable, emotionally intuitive, the fixer, the smoother, the one who steps in. And over time, approval becomes a substitute for alignment. And you start asking, who am I without being needed? Or who am I if I stop showing up as the competent one? And approval starts to feel like oxygen. But it's conditional. In actuality, approval is not fulfillment. Approval is not purpose, and it is certainly not self-leadership. Shifting paths isn't just a logical change, it's actually a psychological detox. And the approval trap is one of the most difficult ones to untangle from. So let's talk about what women discover on the other side. When women step into alignment, whether it's changing careers, redefining success, or simply choosing themselves more fully, something powerful happens. They begin to reclaim energy instead of bracing for the day, rediscover who they were before their lives became too small for who they've become, or build lives that reflect their values, not just their expectations. Now, I hear this from my clients time and again. The moment my mind shifted, things started to show up. And my response to them every time is, that's simply because alignment will always increase your capacity to receive more. So if you're feeling restless, please know there is nothing wrong with you. You're not ungrateful, you're not broken, you're not having a moment. You're simply shedding the old and getting ready for the new, whatever that looks like for you. Your restlessness is an invitation, not to abandon what you've built, but to use it differently. To lead yourself with the same wisdom, courage, and care you've given everyone else. So in closing, a few things I ask of you. Stay curious, stay bold, and keep listening to who you're becoming. Now, I've included a worksheet called Unhooking from the Approval Trap in the show notes if you want to go deeper. And if this topic resonated, please share it with another woman who might benefit from hearing this episode. You never know what might help someone decide to take a closer listen to a calling that is meant for them to hear. That's it for now. Until next time. Thank you for listening to The Change Effect. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review if you enjoyed this episode, so more women like you can find us and take their next step toward creating a life they love.